I feel like there's a big problem in society today where everybody wants to be a victim. If you look at a lot of mainstream music today, especially rap music, a lot of it is related to, coming from the hood, coming from a low income community where a lot of people don't make it out and, they lost friends, lost family, they've been through the struggle and now they're up there. And that's not to say that people don't actually experience those things, because they do. But I feel like people are glorifying the struggle part and not the success part. I feel like the moment somebody becomes successful, they have a lot of haters out of nowhere. People don't hate on you when you're down, when you're struggling, because people love victimization. Pain resonates with people more than success does, because a lot of people are too afraid to chase their dreams and they feel like they're victims. They put themselves in that space of being a victim and use it as an excuse to justify not chasing their dreams. And so when they see somebody else doing that, doing what they can't do, they project those insecurities and that pain and victimization onto other people. This is a mentality that is especially prevalent in low income communities and the African American community. And let me dissect each one individually. So first, the low income community. A lot of people from low income backgrounds do not believe that they can make it out of where they come from. And that's understandable, because you only know what you see around you. So a lot of people are raised in this environment and don't see anything else. They don't see another way out aside from rapping or, selling drugs, robbing people, whatever it may be. People are looking for fast money. They see people doing big things and they start hating, and this is why a lot of people, when they blow up, when they get some money, they get away from where they grew up at, because there's going to be haters. People don't like to see other people winning. That's why you see successful people like Nipsey Hussle, for example, getting killed in their own city. People become hypnotized with hatred, and instead of being inspired by the people who have made it out of where they made it from, they want to pull them back in and say, no, you're not going anywhere. We're all in this together. It's crab in a bucket mentality. A lot of people have this mentality, and that's why not a lot of people make it out of the hood. It's not because it's hard to do it. It's because everyone's holding each other back. If people were to simply change their mindsets and realize that even though relative to other people in this country, they might not have it as good, but to recognize that it's all relative and that compared to people in third world countries, they're living the dream, then you'd start to see more people making it out of there and, progressing in life. But a lot of people have that mentality of they don't want to see other people win because they don't believe in themselves to do that. They believe that they're being held down, being held back. And this applies to the African American community as well. If you are black, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen this firsthand. A lot of black people, and, me included, I had to recognize this within myself. But a lot of black people have this victim mentality. They have this chip on their shoulder where they feel like they have to do more. And, I feel like this is a big part of the reason why black people tend to be more like flashy with their money. And, this is just kind of a hot take, but I feel like black people tend to be more insecure deep down because of the history. And the history is obviously messed up. We were oppressed for many, many years. But allowing yourself to get into that victim mindset is not going to get you anywhere. And waiting for the oppressors to make things right is not going to get you anywhere. You have to take control of your own life. The reason why a lot of black people have these subconscious insecurities about their race and about their ability to make it anywhere in life is because they inherit limitations. Like I said, black people were mistreated for a very long time and still are to this day. So when you have these limitations being passed down from generation to generation, even though with each progressive generation we are becoming more free and more powerful in society, we still have these limitations and we're holding ourselves back mentally. I feel like with the introduction of the internet and social media, there is equal opportunity for everyone. If you have a computer, if you have a phone, you can make it in this world. But if you have a victim mentality, it doesn't matter what you have, what resources you have. you're not going to get anywhere in life. And it goes both ways too. You know, with white people, a lot of white people feel victimized because black people receive special treatment. Every group has a victim mentality for one reason or another. People inherit limitations, and they get those limitations into their subconscious mind, and they begin this negative self-talk to make those beliefs even stronger, and they basically eliminate any chance that they have of being successful or doing extraordinary things in their life, regardless of race or socioeconomic status. And I know that I specifically pointed out low-income communities and the African American community, but it spans everyone, every community. It's just a human thing. Humans want to be victims. People don't want to take control of their reality. They don't want to recognize the fact that you control your reality. When you start this negative self-talk, you become closed-minded. Okay, you become closed-minded. And when you become closed-minded, you are no longer in receiving mode. This is why you don't have any inspiration, because you become closed-minded. You have this negative self-talk. You are not being receptive to inspiration from the universe or from wherever you think inspiration comes from. And this is the essence of the law of attraction. Okay, the law of attraction and victimization cannot coexist. Actually, that's a lie. They can coexist because victimization can exist within the law of attraction. Because when you make yourself out to be a victim, you're going to find that you're going to be the victim more often. The universe is going to provide you with more opportunities to be a victim. Take me, for example. I had this negative self-talk growing up. I was obsessed with being a victim. I didn't want to take control over my reality. I felt like anytime anything bad happened to me, it was not within my control. I couldn't do anything about it, and I was basically a pessimist. I had a very cynical view on life, and this manifested itself when I began to date people. When I began to date people, it was late 2019, I believe, like around October 2019. I was working at H&M, and my YouTube was going decent, I guess. It wasn't really growing like how I wanted it to. I was putting in a lot of work, and I was slowly becoming more and more frustrated with my position in life, which, looking back on it, I was 19. There's no need to be a millionaire at 19. I was doing just fine. But that's not how I saw it. And in addition to that, I was having a lot of trouble with girls. I was 19. I had never been on a date, never talked to a girl, never kissed a girl, none of that, and I felt like I was behind in life because of that. And instead of taking responsibility for that and realizing that I'm the one who didn't have enough confidence to go and talk to girls growing up, instead I went into victim mode and I basically began blaming the universe for all my struggles. And that didn't get me anywhere. Like I said, I started to date people, but none of those situations ever got anywhere. And if you go back and watch my videos from like maybe March to June or July, and you see some of the videos that I made, I put myself in that space of victimization even up to that point. I was still making videos that portrayed me as the victim, particularly of one of those situations. I talked about how, I felt like I had been played by multiple girls, and I felt like girls were giving up on me, and making those videos only made that even stronger in my mind. The idea that I was the victim in those situations. And it wasn't until recently, very, very recently, that I realized that I wasn't the victim. I was creating those realities with those women from fear. I was fearful. There was a lot of negative self-talk that had begun at a very young age. And I had a lot of mental baggage and emotional baggage to clear out. And I remember when I finally figured this out and identified this within myself, I realized that I was the one who was messing up in all of these situations. I don't want to go too deep into any of these situations, but I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of everything that's happened. First girl I ever talked to, she wanted to be casual. I wanted a relationship. And I continued to pursue it anyways, nonetheless. And I got my feelings hurt. And, at the time, I felt like she was being cold. She was doing me dirty. When in reality, she wasn't. She was not a bad person. She simply wanted something different, and I pressed her on that, and she didn't want to lead me on. And so, her being cold was just her keeping it real with me. But that's not how I saw it. I got my feelings hurt. Next girl I dated, I spent a lot of money dating her. I paid for all of our dates. I bought her stuff, bought her food, and she ended up ghosting me. And I always portrayed myself as the victim in that situation. I felt like she finessed me. She finessed me for my money and what I could give her, and then she left. When in reality, it was my choice to do all of that for her. I didn't have to do that. I could have just told her, hey, let's split the bill on dates. And if she disagreed on that, then we could simply stop talking. And then on top of that, we weren't compatible. So for her to ghost me should not be surprising at all. And she probably picked up on the fact that I had emotional trauma from the previous girl. Then the next girl that I talked to, that's the one that I made a lot of videos about. In that situation, I felt like she gave up on me. I felt like in her eyes, I was not good enough for her. And because of that, she ghosted me. When in reality, she simply wasn't ready for a relationship, and I continued to try to press her into one. And so she had every right to do that. She had every right to ghost me. Looking back on it, I see all of this now. But I had to do a lot of maturing mentally to really see this and see that I was the one at fault in all of the situations. I have to take responsibility for what I did and stop being a victim and learn from my mistakes so that I can actually grow. Because when you're a victim, you can never be wrong. You're never wrong. And so you never grow from any situation. And basically, I'm saying all of this to say that you have to take responsibility for your reality. Even when things aren't going your way, embrace it as your creation and understand that since it's your creation, you have the power to change it.